Today I want to talk about the Golden State Warriors young core because I do think Kuminga and Moody, they're going to have bigger roles this upcoming season, and I will eventually get to them later on in the video. But I do want to talk about the rest of the Warriors young core, not named Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody, because we got a lot of new guys this upcoming season that I think could make a big impact, not just this year, but in the following seasons. So the first one I want to get to is Brandon Podziemski. He was the 19th overall pick in this year's draft for the Warriors, and he didn't shoot that well in Summer League, but the thing is, he showed a lot of signs of being a very polished player. His basketball IQ is off the charts for his age, and he's only 20 years old, right? But he had 2 years of college experience coming in. But the thing is with him, he can really be a good secondary ball handler. He can be a secondary playmaker. He's a great passer. He's also got a good knowledge of how to run the pick and roll. And the thing that really makes Podziemski such an outstanding prospect is his rebounding. He kind of reminds me of, I would say a left-handed Josh Hart or like a left-handed Donte DiVincenzo, because both those guys are extremely good rebounders at that guard position, and Podziemski did just that. There was a Summer League game where he almost got a triple-double. The hard part with Podziemski, I think, about getting in the rotation is that he's got a lot of other guards ahead of them, and one of those guards is Moses Moody. But I think with Podziemski's rebounding, his playmaking, I think his shooting, which will eventually come along, and overall, I don't think his defense will be too big of an issue, although Mike Dunleavy has pointed out that that will be an issue. I think Brandon Podziemski is going to be just fine. I've seen that a Warriors insider said that he thinks Podziemski can play a role and crack into the rotation maybe, but that might be more realistic within the next couple years. The thing is, if this young core is going to take that next step, Podziemski is going to be a huge part of that. And we saw kind of a difference in the Warriors draft strategy this year, right? Podziemski was a younger player, but he has 2 years of college experience. He's coming in way more polished as far as being, a rebounder, a scorer, a playmaker, and even a three-point shooter, even though, like I said, we didn't see that in Summer League. So I think that's going to make all the difference for Podziemski, and I think it'll make all the difference for the Warriors too, having him kind of as a younger option, but also somebody that has a high basketball IQ. And anybody that has a high basketball IQ, right, they're going to fit in the Warriors system well. So I'm confident in that sense that Podziemski's going to fit in this Warriors system, and he will find some way to either crack the rotation somehow and get some minutes this year, or if not, have a bigger role next season. The next guy I want to get to is Trayce Jackson-Davis. Now, we didn't see a lot of him in Summer League, but his rebounding, his ability to run the pick and roll, right, be that roll man, run the floor well, block shots, you could clearly see all that. He's very polished in all of those areas. So, given that right, he's pretty much the only other Warriors big on their roster right now besides Kevon Looney, and I guess newly signed Dario Saric as well. But I do think Trayce Jackson-Davis can have some role. If anybody's going to break in the rotation out of, let's say, Podziemski, Jackson-Davis, Santos Quinones, right, any of those guys, I think Jackson-Davis has the most likely chance because his position is a position of need for this Warriors team. And adding kind of a different look at that center position behind Kevon Looney, right? Someone who's athletic, can dunk, can run, can jump, right? All those things. Not saying Looney can't do that, but Looney's game isn't really based off athleticism. And Trayce Jackson-Davis, he can rebound, he can do some of the things that Looney does, but he's also super athletic. He can block shots, right? Looney really isn't a shot blocker. And so given all of that, I think Jackson-Davis has a nice skill set to fit in this Warriors system. The next guy is Guy Santos. He's the 55th overall pick in the 2022 draft. He showed a lot of great improvements this year in Summer League. His playmaking looked a lot better, his decision making, as well as his three-point shooting too, and his strength. He built a lot of muscle over the past year during his time in the G League, and you could clearly see that. And Santos, he had a lot of comparisons last year to being like a Brazilian Luka Doncic, and I don't really want to make those comparisons right now because it's still early on in his professional career. But Santos has made a lot of good strides, and even though he's young, right, even though he's still got a lot of room to grow, I think there's a chance he could get on the Warriors roster somehow, whether that's a two-way or a standard spot somehow. But more likely than not, I think he might just be mostly in the G League this year, maybe on a two-way. We'll see. The next guy is Lester Quinones. My goodness, he went absolutely off in the Summer League. And I think the good part with Quinones is that he's a pretty developed player. Like, for the most part, you know what you're going to get from him. And if he's not shooting the ball well, right, he's shown ability to get the free throw line, to be a playmaker. He's an excellent defender. He's a pretty solid rebounder at that guard position as well. Also, the good thing with Quinones, right, he's got a lot of great size. He's around 6'5". He's got a lot of muscle on him, so he doesn't necessarily have to play the guard positions, right? You can kind of slide him into that 3 spot, and he could guard, forward. So that's also a good thing too, right? That positional versatility, that defensive versatility. And Quinones, he was recently signed to a 2-way contract. Literally a couple hours before I started making this video, he got signed, right? So he does have a chance to compete for a roster spot, but he's also somebody that could take this Warriors young core to another level. He's kind of like Jordan Poole in a sense with the ways he can score the ball, but he's also a good playmaker, rebounder, good defender, so he's kind of got all those things already polished about his game. And just given his skill set, given that he can kind of play the three if you need him to, I think his skill set might be the most needed with his three-point shooting and defense. So if anybody does have a chance, right, with the Warriors young core that isn't on the main roster yet, I think he's got a good shot. But right now he isn't a two-way, so either way, he will probably be a Warrior next season regardless. And then I want to talk about Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody. I know their roles have kind of been a bit, I would say, unclear for the most part over the past year. Now Moody, he got a regular rotation spot in the playoffs, but that meant that Kuminga's spot, well, Kuminga was out of the rotation, right? He did not get rotation minutes in the playoffs, and I could tell that frustrated him. There were reports coming out from his camp about it, and I think the thing is, Kuminga's skill set is going to be needed. His perimeter defense, his length, athleticism, his improved three-point shooting, right? His ability to put pressure on the rim, those are going to be very useful for the Warriors this year. The thing is, Kuminga fills a huge need at that forward position. That's why I was surprised originally that he wasn't in the playoff rotation, but the steps that he can continue to take, his improved shooting, I've seen some videos where he looks like he improved his shooting mechanics as well. Those are going to be huge this year for the Warriors. But him and Moody, their improvements and they're now consistent spots and roles in the rotation, that's going to be big for the Warriors this year. And really the last thing I want to mention about this Warriors young core is that, yes, I said they have gone to another level. And that seems crazy, right? They lost Jordan Poole. They replaced, Patrick Baldwin Jr. and Ryan Rollins, right? With guys like, Guy Santos per se, Lester Quinones, Podziemski, Jackson-Davis. But this time, all these guys know their roles. And that's what could take us to another level because Kuminga and Moody, right? Like I said, they're going to have consistent rotation minutes. They're going to continue to improve on their playmaking, their shooting, their defense, right? Knowing what they need to do to help this team win. And then on top of that, you have Quinones you go to, who's kind of like, I would say, a Jordan Poole light right now until he gets more minutes and more opportunity. Because I think if Quinones does get opportunity, he's going to take advantage of it. Then you got Podziemski, right? Solid player with a high basketball IQ. And then Jackson-Davis, a solid backup for Kevon Looney, super athletic, great shot blocker. All these guys that the Warriors have drafted and gotten their young core over the past year, they provide positions of need. They provide skill sets that the Warriors are going to need going forward. So I'm really, really excited. I think with the emergence of Moody and Kuminga, the consistent roles they should get, the breakout that Moody had in the playoffs, and the breakout that Kuminga, I think, had during the regular season, I think that's going to carry over to next season. So I'm super excited. I think Jackson-Davis, though, out of, him, Podziemski, Santos, and Quinones, he's the best chance of breaking in the rotation. But unless this Warriors young core, they're going to play a huge role next year in the Warriors going for another championship with the new additions of, Chris Paul, Corey Joseph, Dario Saric. So, like I said, super excited for the Warriors young core, but just want to make this video to kind of break them down a little bit and break down what their roles could be. So, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.